All right, we are back again with the first of the two Gurren Lagann movies, Childhood's End. And I'm gonna admit, again, I'm terrified of opening that box set. So I've never watched it. I've watched it only online, and I now realize that the version that I watched online skipped the beginning.
Oh,
But much
so you
they have a
so
much
you
prettier
never
version. Go ahead.
okay. So you never saw that prologue with with the Spiral King and the and all of that.
No, that's a much prettier version of that Parallel Works.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. The version I saw online, because I could not get my hands on that box set until like a year and a half ago. I never saw that version of it. Wow, I feel like a moron now. But Mike, go ahead. I don't know if you have a synopsis, but
I'm literally just going off Wikipedia here.
okay.
So the first movie is called Gurren Lagann, the movie Childhood's End, and basically it's a compilation of everything that happened in like the first arc up until right before they face the Spiral King.
Yep.
So there, according to Wikipedia, there's like 20 minutes of newly animated scenes, and I guess one of them is that like that prologue with the Spiral King, and basically everything that happened before the events of episode 1.
Yep. Oh man, I would be stretched to say that Wikipedia is wrong that it's 20 minutes, but man, a lot happens in the very end of that. But I have notes of comparisons that I had to make sure that I got all of them right. But
because that's basically the extent of this review, because otherwise a lot of what we've said about the events of this movie have just been our reviews for the first 15 episodes.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
I'm going to ask you, other than the ending, because that's like the most different. What are some of the more subtle departures from the series that you've noticed?
Well, for sure, we're going to go on a list here. He finds Lagann and the core drill in the same spot this time.
And I kind of like that better.
It makes more sense, kind of. Well, technically yes and technically no, because they're padding out that episode. That's why he finds it later. But in Genome's case, he wanted to make sure no one could find it. And then it always makes me to think, why did you hide the core drill to Lagann within a football field worth of ground and not keep it? If you wanted no one to use it. But I'm going to go down a list. Also, the music. They never have lyrics in the music outside of Rap is a Man's Soul. So it only is instrumentals.
Except for the brief moment when you hear Happily Ever After.
Oh, yeah, that is true. Happily Ever After, which they actually put the lyrics on screen for.
Yeah, that was nice.
That was nice, because there's like, you could scrounge YouTube. There's nothing other than a person's interpretation of it. They don't have like the honest to God like thing out there. The blacked out eye catch with Simone after Kamina dies, you get what do I want to say, negative colors eye catch when Kamina dies. And a couple things that I don't like, and obviously they cut these down, but you don't get the context for the 3 different times that story of them being trapped inside the rocks. You only get one of them, and then a flashback to the other. Because you get the story of Yoko hearing, or the part where Yoko hears Simone's part of that story when they're trapped is on the bridge of the ship. and Nia looks for him, and then Yoko just walks in, and then she's like, keep talking, I want to hear this part of it. No, it's during the part when he's building the things where Nia just sits in because she wants to keep him company. They combine those two scenes. So that's a different one. Let's see here. Oh boy, I had some on here. All right, so I have to ask of things that were cut before we get to the very last part. What was some things that got cut you were okay with, and some things that got cut that you weren't okay with? Because this, all I have notes is basically the entire end battle and some stuff that's changed. Because there is some minor scene changes in there too, where they put stuff in different spots.
I'll be honest, the stuff that they cut for the sake of like pacing, I'm okay with most of it, with the exception of, sure, I would have liked to see to see the all three versions of the Kamina Simon story.
Yeah.
But
excuse me.
But the way it's presented in the film is a little bit more. It's better paced when presented in the film.
Yeah. The only thing that it doesn't get, and I agree with you, some pacing when it works better is a little bit better because she only like realizes it after the first or whatever. The thing that kills me though is you don't get the scene where everyone thinks they're screwed and all you hear is Simon chipping away in the background with his drill.
Okay, yes, that's what I was waiting for, and we never got it.
Yeah, because you never even get them being captured ever. Like that whole arc is just whoop right out the window. But yeah, man, that is that's something else. But again, it's pretty much all the same. Outside of like, you don't get to see the stuff with the father, all that stuff. That's all cut. Basically, you get the big group and everyone goes, and oh boy, did they skip over episode 4. Hardcore.
It's kind of like they did that deliberately.
Yes.
Like
they see black siblings. Oh yeah, we'll show the cool fight where you don't notice any animation changes. But yeah, the biggest change is this ending, where they fight all 3 other generals at once, and just for shits and giggles, Viral gets his own Daigunzen dude, so they have another Daigunzen that Viral has. They just had another one lying around. Just so they could say they had all 4 of them. And oh boy. I have to ask, and obviously it's before we set up and we talk about more stuff. Are you okay with the way it was presented here for the battle, with that they just wanted to make it epic for the movie, or would you have preferred, honestly, in the series if they would have fought all 3 of them at once?
That's a good question. Because at least with the movie, they could up the budget just like, and boy, did they up the budget on this.
It's pretty.
But would I rather have them in the series fight all at once? See, the difference is in the series, each one was sort of like the villain of the week. Mm-hmm. So naturally, like they could afford to like pace it out that way. But I gotta say, I think I preferred the epic battle.
There we go.
In the movie.
That's all right. We'll differ on that. I prefer it the other way, but I will say, my God, I wish I had the animation budget of what they had in the final here versus what they had the other one. Because you actually get to see, for like, if I'm thinking correctly, you actually get to see like a good chunk of Adine's Daigunken? What the heck is hers called again? Her full mech, like outside of the water, like fighting, actually like Pierce fighting and like eating the Gurren. And yeah, the big obvious difference is that we actually get to see another huge difference is we actually get to see a fight, an actual fight between a DNA, some troops, and Yoko, where Yoko switches her sniper rifle, like disassembles it on hand and turns it into a machine gun.
Okay, that is pretty awesome.
It is. It's nuts, and like Nia, of course, gets taken hostage again, but they didn't have the thing, so they had her get taken up, and they had Simone holding on as they took her away and hanging on just by his drill, and you got to have the cool "that's what he meant" moment with him in the air, literally hanging off, knowing he's probably going to die, just trying to save Nia. That is pretty great, I will admit. And the thing that they do at the same time is that after Simone falls, and you get to have Lagann catch him in midair and then zoom back up, you actually get the scene where he drills up through the bottom of the Gurren and then hits the middle of the inner cockpit and then rescues Nia when he's upside down, and they leave, except they have it in midair attached to Citamandre's ship. So they have some of the moments there to just reanimate them to where it's like, I've never read that wiki article to where they say there's only 20 minutes of new animated scenes. I'm calling some hardcore bullshit on that. I think there's a bit more than 20 minutes, but that's just me.
Yeah, because some of that had to have been almost completely redone for the sake of, blending that into this like new finale.
Yeah, exactly. And oh man, I gotta say exactly how I get this in order. And then you get to see where I'll ask your opinion. I don't even know if you'll remember it because, again, that was in episode 11. They actually have probably a 10-second longer montage of Kamina moments. Like, it's fully extended. You have almost a clip of every scene that he's in from the entire series, like at least moments in that. And that was really good. Where you get to see him get the wings of Gurren at the same time, the wings attached to Gurren Lagann at the same time. So a lot of it, again, is sped up, and you're like, it's the epic movie moment. It is really cool. One thing I have to ask you, and it debuts in here, and I have some info about it. Yoko's miniature Diakaiser gunman that she gets only in the movies.
Interesting.
Yeah, did you like the fact that she finally got her own gunman only in these movies?
I would have liked to see her have a gunman in the series. So it's a little bit disappointing that that my first time seeing it is, here as opposed to in the series proper.
Yeah. And yeah, because it's only ever in the movies. You never get to see it in the series. It is called the Yoko M tank. It's a Diakaiser gunman. Yoko's personal gunman that Leron did by modifying another Diakaiser, the one that they just had lying around. And it is a smaller barrel compared to the other one. And according to the director, it is called the Yoko M tank. According to the director, I will tell you what the director said. Guess what M stands for in the Yoko M tank?
Mecha? No.
I will Facebook you $10 if you can guess what this is.
Nothing's coming to me.
According to the director, the M of the Yoko M tank stands for milk.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and spoiler alert, you get to see a pretty kick-ass version of it later in the other movie. So she gets a couple of moments with her tank, which is pretty awesome. And it has her little hairpin logo and stuff like that. And you get extra fan service with Yoko when she's fighting a DNA and she gets her top cut off. And Buta just comes with an extra top so she can pilot it properly. Good Lord.
Oh, Buddha. I miss you.
Buddha's great. Yep. You get to see the black siblings. Keaton still gets to have his moment where he tells everyone that that Simone is busting his ass out there. And it's during the air fight when they do this and they start launching out stuff. But instead, it leads into all the black siblings literally putting gun barrels through Guame's ship and just blowing their shit. And you got to see, well, after that, but you got to see the 4 gunmen formation. That was pretty badass. Were you expecting them to do a combination themselves?
Yes and no. I figured if you're going to face all 4 of them at once, that they would kind of have to combine. But I wasn't expecting the name that they called it.
Doten Kaizen. Just a little bit of each one. It works. And again, they had to give freaking Viral his own Daigunzen again. Just say, here's my special power. Shit, it was destroyed in 5 minutes. And you got to have all of them do a combined Giga Drill, which I have to ask, before we get too far in a couple of translations, because this is actually something people that listen to the Japanese translation and the English translation have differences on in which they prefer. Do you prefer that the finishing move is called Giga Drill Break or Giga Drill Breaker?
Either or.
Yeah, there's some people that like legit get pissed off if you call it Giga Drill Break, and I'm like, it's a finishing move. For crying out loud, it says stay away from my blood brother punch. Like, they don't need to sound badass. And it's like, give or take, Breaka sounds really good when you get a hardcore Japanese speaking person saying it. So I get it. But you got to see a giant combined super rainbow spiral version of the freaking
which was awesome.
Breaker. Oh, that was like the entire budget of season 1 in that attack. That thing was insane.
Now, you mentioned the original Japanese language. So, I'm wondering why these movies never got dubbed in English. Was this? Do you think this was because, at the time ADV was like kind of running out of
go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, like, do you think the reason these movies never made it to English because at the time ADV was pretty much filing for bankruptcy, or just the nature of, because these movies are basically just compilations of the series that to a Western audience they would just come off as redundant?
Yeah. And I've talked with my roommate about this. My roommate has watched a metric assload more anime than I have. Pretty much whenever it's not the thing that's going to get shown on the TV channel or whatever, it's just considered extra cost that wouldn't really be worth it. And like you said, it's just an extra thing that is going to get piled on with the show that's already in English. And most people that I'm not saying like everybody, like I'm stereotyping, most people that are going to watch it in English want to watch the entire show.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's that, and it's like, and to my knowledge, they have most of the same actors that do it in Japanese. I barely watch in Japanese because I'll be fully honest. This, Death Note, Cowboy Bebop, Black Lagoon, and I had a select 5 that I know, and I will say Darling and Franks. Their English translation kicks the living shit out of their Japanese dubs, in my opinion. I will say, though, in this movie, what they say in the series, a lot of what the dubbing is, or the subtitles is in here, match the series a lot closer in the English dub than what the Japanese dub does.
I noticed that with a handful of lines.
Yeah, it's like spot on. It's really weird to me. I don't know if like again, I don't know the tracking on this because I watched it way after online because I never watched it on Blu-ray or anything like that. I don't know if maybe they just kind of caught what ones worked better and later on they just combined the handful together. And like it's not to say that the Japanese version's bad. I do not think it's bad. I will watch it. If I only had the Japanese version, I would still be happy with watching the show. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It is still amazing. But in my opinion, you do not have Kyle Hebert given an Oscar-worthy performance as freaking Kamina. You do not have the whimsical and the I'm going to do whatever the hell I need to save my friends and get my girlfriend back that you get from Yuri Lowenthal. Now I'm blanking on her name.
Hinden Welch.
Hinden Welch. You do not get the innocence. You do not get that without her. And I will tell you right now, that Japanese person does fine as Liron, but he gets his ass handed to him by the role that freaking Steve Bloom does. Liron does not exist to me in Japanese. That English voice is Liron. He sounds like a normal dude that just happens to wear heels. He sounds like what Liron should be when Steve Bloom does that voice for him. Like they knew they wanted something special when they did that English version because he's the one that is balls to the wall completely different. And again, Michelle Ruff, she's Yoko. She's just awesome. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And you haven't gotten to hear Genome yet. Oh, no, you did actually get to hear Genome.
Yeah, in the post-credits scene, you get to hear a little bit of Genome.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, he sounds very not too far off from the English voice.
Yeah, they were very close. They had a very tight cast for what they want Genome to be. And yeah, it's for the most part, and that is me personally, for what you heard of the Japanese voices, which do you prefer? And honestly, when you watch anime, do you prefer to watch it subbed or dubbed? I do not think I've ever asked you this.
You know what? I think it depends on a couple things. I'll admit for Gurren specifically, I've warmed up more to the English dub and very specifically the Bang Zoom version because that has Kyle Hebert and Yuri Lowenthal, Stephen Bloom, etc.
Exactly.
But just in general, it depends on a couple things.
Mm-hmm.
Availability.
Yes, that is a very big one.
So like when Cameron and I do like season previews, usually because we only watch like the first couple episodes of like each new series, the simuldub hasn't been released yet, so we'll usually just stick to subtitles. But if it's an option, I usually tend to go towards the dub first.
Go with me, man.
And when it comes to the dubs that are almost kind of mandatory, I would say Cowboy Bebop.
I agree with you there.
The Dragon Ball franchise.
Not a bad shout.
Yu Yu Hakusho.
I have not watched enough of it to know, and I don't think I've heard it in Japanese, so I couldn't tell you. Yu Yu Hakusho is your favorite anime of all time, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's what I thought. I know you'd mentioned that at some point.
I know it's a long one, so we probably won't be able to do.
How many episodes is it?
Hold on. There's 4 seasons. There's 4 seasons and a total of 112 episodes.
Oh God. Okay, if it was somewhere around like 60, I would have said yes. Holy shit. Was there like 30 episodes a season?
Probably.
Wow. That was one of those ones where they just hauled ass. And like, man, there's only a couple animes that get that treatment now, but back then, man, they just went all off. But anyway, so back to this. Okay, so again, you said you like the spectacle version of it all at once and how it happens. I have to ask, if you had to get given the option, I'm assuming they probably know what your answer is going to be. Would you preferred like if it was going to be a full episode length that they still had this big battle, it just lasted a long time with everyone there? Or is that only if it's a movie?
Like have the entire 26 minutes be the battle.
Well, no, I mean like if they were going to have the same length of episodes and the end battle was the same way, would you have preferred that they like padded out other things and then had like a giant like 6 to 7 episode long like in the trenches dealing with all of them?
I think I like it better
Just
the
as
way.
a movie?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's fine. I'm just trying to get the exact term because I never actually get to speak with anyone that's seen both of these. Because I'm lucky if someone's seen the actual full series, let alone the movies. But because the movies are hard to find. But yeah, we got that down. Can I add, outside of, well, I say outside the battle, what your favorite changes were, because that's basically what the biggest change is. Yeah,
I know it's hard. It's tough to ask
yeah,
this question because the battle is the biggest change
it is.
and it's my favorite.
Yeah.
But I guess my other favorite change is they really kind of shortened the Simone get your shit together arc.
It's like that big.
but again, as a movie, it works.
Yeah.
And I think for people who have never seen Gurren Lagann, but also would prefer, the Japanese, like the original Japanese to the dub. I would honestly recommend watching the movie. Like if you're someone who, maybe they don't have time to watch all 26 episodes, but they still want to like experience the series. I would feel okay with recommending the movie.
There you go. Nice.
Or if you're like if you're a completionist and want to see everything, then just see everything.
See everything, exactly. And it's just like, this is kind of nice to where it has some different moments. There are some anime movies where it's literally the exact same and chopped. I appreciated that they at least had some moments in here where like the entire end battle is completely different. Like they didn't just skip over and just like cut out 2 generals. No, they just went, nope, we're gonna put all 4 of them. Whoop, right there. Well, 3 of them, because they treat Timmel the same. They weren't gonna have the balls to try and change how Kamina dies. Oh boy, that was what I was watching the first time. They're like, to change some stuff. I'm like, they wouldn't do that. They're gonna have him die the exact same way. But yeah, so that was pretty much it. We have one more to do, but we are not doing that tonight because that one's an hour and 50 minutes, and I'm not making Mike watch through that now because we got a little bit of time and a couple more episodes before Gurren is completely sent through. So we got some time still. So, Mike, where can they reach you?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Captain K482. You can follow all my quick thought reviews on letterboxd.com/Coach K482. Find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. Don't forget to check out Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. You can follow all our podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And last but not least, check out renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we.
Absolutely. You can find me everywhere at Organoid Zero, YouTube, mostly Twitch. I'm trying to get my head on my ass and be a lot better at streaming, but I work a lot of long hour days. So when I get home, I kind of just want to sleep, but I promise I will get better at it because by the time this comes out, there's going to be a lot more games to play on my PS5 because COVID sucks and delays happen. But all right, yeah, we will see you guys for the next movie. Spin on. I love you. See you later.